Damn. Oh, I'm always late. Oh.
uh, those 80s TV shows, it was always you used to when shows had like these full like opens, like we're going to school and our dad doesn't like us very much, but we're still a family. Do and then
Yeah.
the producer, whoever it is, uh,
Mhm.
we'll throw it back to that.
Well, I hope everybody likes this song because, yeah, I heard they wanted more jazz, so I threw in a jazzy song in there. I'm kind of getting annoyed by it, but yeah, it works.
There's we should get that old guy that was on America's Got Talent a few years back. He was like 82, used to work for NASA, but he was his song. He did that song by Drowning Pool, Bodies. So like
Oh,
he's
yeah, that's
just like
right. You sent
this.
that to me the other day.
Yeah, yeah. I'd never seen that before, and I was just like, I wonder what he's gonna sing. Just like, start spreading the news. The first thing out of his mouth, let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor.
That was so
Oh my
awesome.
god. Yeah, I love it. I love it when unexpected stuff like that happens.
Mhm.
Um
Me too.
Happy 420 to you
Happy
and yours.
420. Yes. Are you
More th-
celebrating
more
already?
I will be later today. I
Yes.
have a buddy of mine in town from your neck of the woods out in LA. He lives in LA. And he's in town for four Fish concerts, four in a row.
Wait, fish is
He's a
in
big
with
Fish head.
PH fish?
Yeah, PA. No, actual Fish. He goes to the rivers and no, the Fish the band,
Yeah.
PH. Sorry, that was the
Yeah.
Hollywood Squares answer. Um, yeah. So, and the thing about Fish is that even if they perform four nights in a row, they never repeat the same song. So that's why he's going all four nights, because each concert there's
Fish is
different
the ska
songs that
band,
they do.
right?
They're they're what you call a jam band. You ever heard of they're kind of like the Grateful Dead, right?
Okay.
Um, so you go to one of their concerts and their songs are like 20, 30 minutes long, and everybody's just, "Woo," hound the hog, as they
Mm,
say.
mm.
But today is the holy day for that. So I'll be partaking with my buddy since it's legal here in New York now. We don't have to go sneaking around. What are you doing for 420?
I'm just getting stoned all day. That's all I'm doing. I already wake and baked this morning, so we're good to go today. Getting it started off right.
Yeah, see, because out in Cali, 420 is not a thing. It's you just call it Wednesday, right? It's just a
Mhm,
thing. It's
mhm.
like it's for those who just 420 used to mean something a lot more when it wasn't legal in a lot of
Yeah.
places.
Now it's now more like it's like a holiday, kinda like, if your family you and your family or your friends smoke and partake in all of that, today is kind of the day where you, like, go to the store and buy something extra special or get, like, the really dank stuff today. So that's what you do is today is kinda like a treat yourself day kinda thing. So I've got really good flour, absolutely amazing, really, like, top shelf stuff. I've got my cookies and cream, little chocolate pieces, and I got a little vape pen to last me in between throughout the day in case I don't want to sit outside and smoke because it decided that we wanted to rain last night. So
Oh yeah, it's been so cold here. It rained Monday night and yesterday the wind was just blowing and it was just like winter's back. Sorry, because last Thursday it was 83 degrees and I chopped off the bushes and hedges here. And then I went out yesterday. He's Yona. I went out yesterday. I was like, "Ay, muy frío, so cold, papi." And
mhm.
yeah, for Yona, it's just Wednesday because he does 420 every day. Um,
Me
I
too.
like that about that. We got Kay Ryan. Hey Kay, how you doing? Dolores is here. Brandy in the chat yesterday for Sakuro's show, Sakura and Eric. She wanted me to do my Gilbert Gottfried impression.
You can do
Um
that?
I can. It hurts, but I can do it very limited. I watched a documentary about Gilbert Gottfried over the weekend. It's just called Gilbert. If you like Gilbert Gottfried, everybody should watch that. It just shows him behind the scenes, like with his wife and kids, and he's just like the sweetest dude. But he gets on stage and he's just like a dirty old man, and he talks like this. Oh boy, the other day I was making toast, and then so that's kind of his
Oh, you
thing.
sound like him.
I know it's like I need a little some of this. Mm.
I know.
Ooh.
Have you
R.I.P.
memorized any
Gilbert.
like Aladdin, Iago lines?
I have to admit, I only know his dirty stuff. So I'm precious. No, I've never seen Aladdin or any of those things. Because yeah, if I did, I was probably stoned, and I just don't remember it. So, but I saw little clips. He always, as they said, he always does birds. It seems like if he does cartoon characters, and when he was doing the Affleck duck, he always does birds. If he's going to do a character, he would do a bird. So, yeah. So, I found that documentary about him. It's sad because this was in 2017 that they made it. So 5 years before he died. So, which is sad. So if you watch it now, and you're like, oh, because it's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want downer stuff on 420. We want happy stuff. We got to talk about Little Debbie too. Oh yeah. We were about snack cakes.
I like Little Debbie's.
Little Debbie. I think what was it? What was Brandy? Was that on my show the other night, the Secret Show? We were talking about Little Debbie's, how it's just kind of like I like the nutty bars, but everything else just kind of tastes like Dollar Tree
That's so
Hostess.
funny. You were talking about Nutter Butters on Misty's show yesterday too. Like you
Well,
really
that's
love
what it
Nutter
was.
Butters.
No, it wasn't on my show. It was on Misty's show. Yeah, I was on her show, the Misty Winston show yesterday. She's fun. We could just riff. We could just talk about it's like Seinfeld. It's like a show about nothing for an hour, just talking about random things, and yeah. So I really enjoyed that. That was the second time I was on there, and Misty, she's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
She went to the Jimmy Dore show last night, so she was telling me about that, and I was like, well, "Good for you, Jimmy
cool.
Dore." I'd love to see. I love live. We were talking about live comedy on the show yesterday too, and it was just like there's watching comedians on like YouTube or something like that. It's kind of like watching like music videos. Yeah, you like the music, but you'd rather see them live. It's just like a different vibe, the energy, the environment, just everything around it. You're just like you just get sucked into it, and it's really cool. So Sandy DG, is it or is
it's
it
Sandy Diggs?
Sandy Diggs?
Okay. Yep. Hi Sandy.
I don't know code names. I'm not down with the program, unfortunately, but you can translate for me.
Sharer as well. She shares a lot too.
Oh, does she? Oh, thank you, Sandy. You can never share enough. I mean, seriously, everybody who does that, I try to do it as much as I can too, because we got to get really good independent media out there. Just a word of warning too, if you hear like some rando construction noises, the school across the street is closed, I think, for maybe spring break. I don't know how that works, but they're moving stuff around and they don't care that people are trying to broadcast stuff. So anyway, we should probably get started, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Let's as they say, let's get this party started. So some bad news, not totally bad news because it's not like a definite thing yet, but probably a lot of people have heard the news about Julian Assange. Um, let me see here. Let me share my screen. See, here comes some ambulances. So it's looking like he's getting closer to being extradited to the United States. Um, a British judge this morning formally approved the extradition of Assange to the United States to face spying charges. The case will now go to Britain's Interior Minister for a decision, though the WikiLeaks founder still has legal avenues for appeal. So it's not quite uh, over for him yet. He's been in Belmarsh prison for last 3 years, I believe. Um, and his fate is going to be pretty much in the hands of this Home Secretary, Priti Patel. Uh, that the Home Secretary is going to decide whether to grant the extradition. He's still, like we said, he still has legal options. Um, he his lawyers have 4 weeks, so about a month, to make submissions to Patel, and they can also seek to appeal to the High Court in Britain. Um, so yeah, it's a blow to freedom of speech,
Yep.
and but it's not a case closed thing yet, thank goodness, because he still has avenues, but it's just so frustrating. I was telling you, I was talking to my buddy Misty yesterday, comrade Misty, on Twitter, and she's a huge advocate for Julia Assange. She's one of those people that walks the walk. She's been out to DC for protests to try to get Julian Assange free. His only crime is journalism, and in this day and age, that's a pretty scary thing
Yep.
to to be facing charges like that, and to be just held in prison, without being tried, without any of that sort of thing. We saw that during the Iraq War, um, in Cuba, where what's it? Oh God, what's the name of the place? Guantanamo Bay. They're keeping people there, uh, without trial,
Mhm.
suspects, that type
Mhm.
of thing. Um,
Yep.
a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't know that Julian Assange exposed a lot of what we know about what our government is doing, as far as like wiretaps, um, and all the other secret things that are going on, like basically surveillance of the American people by the American government, which is highly illegal, but it's allowed to happen under the guise of, well, it's we it's terrorism. We know we have to do it to fight terrorism, so we don't have to go do it here, and that kind of
Right.
thing. And it's just disgusting, really.
Yep. I know in here it says American prosecutors say Assange unlawfully helped U.S. Army intelligence analysis or analyst Chelsea Manning steal classified diplomatic cables and military files that WikiLeaks later published. And then this what pisses me off: putting lives at risk. What lives are you putting at risk? The generals that allow these guys to take the shots at those guys that are holding the cameras, or the government that made those or put those military forces in that country when we shouldn't have been in the first place? Like, putting the only lives that were being put at risk were the ones that you guys that we murdered when we actually did those war crimes. Like, all Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange, all they did was just show us what they did, what our government is doing. While we're out here right now talking about how Russia's doing war crimes, like, there's so much proof out there that we've done it ourselves and we're just getting away with it. Like, I don't know how much longer this is going to last until the rest of the world is going to be like, screw you, America. Like, you're the worst of them all.
Yeah, and a British district court judge had initially rejected that extradition request on the grounds that Assange was likely to kill himself if held under harsh U.S. prison conditions, because it's pretty much been determined if he does get extradited, they'll probably put him in one of the supermax prisons here in the United States. The U.S. said they provided assurances that he wouldn't face severe treatment, that his lawyers said would put his physical and mental health at risk. And he's already had a stroke since he's been in Belmarsh. So I mean, he's under duress, to say the least. Back in December, the High Court overturned the lower court's decision, saying that the U.S. promises were enough. Like the U.S., we promise. How many times have we heard the U.S. promise something and then, oopsie, sorry, we're going to go back on that.
Yep.
So yeah, and it's just like some political game that's going on here, and the UK is being complicit in it. His lawyers said he could face up to 175 years in jail if he's convicted in the U.S., though American authorities have said the sentence was likely to be much lower than that. It should be 0. They should release him now. He's
Yep.
he's caught. I don't understand. He's done no crime. He hasn't committed a crime, yet he's
Nope.
been in prison. You know. And I think what that is, they're making Julian Assange out to be the cautionary tale for other whistleblowers that are trying to get the real truth out about the secret surveillance state that we're under, and God knows what else has been going on in the last few years with COVID, and now with Ukraine and Russia. It always seems like they do these things, and then under the cover of night, they're doing all this other shady stuff that they don't want you to find out about. And we need people like Assange and other journalists. There's other journalists that are being held too, for kind of the same reasons, different situations, but still, if you're a journalist and your only crime is reporting the truth, then what does that say about those that are calling it a crime? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Everybody's really
Yeah.
good in the
So,
comments.
yeah. Brandy was right here. Several countries calling the U.S. out at the UN, but the majority of the UN are too afraid to actually do anything. Yeah,
Right.
which is kind of interesting because the United States is not part of the War Trials Tribunal. I believe they're not a member of it, but they're calling for war crimes against Putin. And it's like, well, look in the mirror, bud. How many war crimes have been? That's just war crimes that the United States has perpetrated in Iraq and in Afghanistan and in Libya, Yemen. Even though it's a proxy war in Yemen, but still, it's we're willing to let countries like Saudi Arabia slip by, but then we're going to try and go after Russia, because, well, they were going after Russia before all of this, when they blamed Russia for leaking Hillary Clinton's emails that pretty much exposed their plan for how they were going to rig the elections and that sort of thing. And Assange was involved in that too. He helped to expose that information too. So these are all just political reasons. He is a political prisoner through and through, and we have to get more and more people involved in trying to protest the government and trying to get him free. At least that's what I think. You're muted, doll. Oh, there you are.
I know, I'm sorry. My heater is turning off, so I was muting myself because it likes to be loud.
No, I was. I blame those vines that are crawling up the wall behind you. Be careful. They look harmless, but
They're
at least
not.
they're not scary trees.
No.
So yeah, so that's something. So we got another month. They got another month to try and, like I said, try to convince the Home Secretary to let him go. So hopefully that will happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can hope.
So
I'm highly doubting it, but yeah, we're obviously there's people out there that are fighting, you know. Oh, I mean, all we can do right now is just talk about it and let people know about it. You know, there's actual people out there doing the hard work. So let's hope so.
yeah,
Fingers
and
crossed.
if it, and those of us who want Assange free, uh, we should talk to our family and friends who don't understand the situation, who may have heard all the propaganda that he's a spy and that he leaked all this stuff and it's dangerous, and even the military said the information he helped to get broadcast out there, it wasn't detrimental. It wasn't detrimental. It didn't like hurt the United States. So like I said, it's all a political game. But talk
Right.
to your family and friends that are who are on the fence or don't really know about it, and educate them. And then the more people we get involved, the more we can try and fight for free speech. Speaking of fighting, people have been fighting the mask mandates and looks like got a little bit of a victory. What? So I think this go down on Monday, I believe. I believe this happened on Monday.
Think so?
Not quite sure. I think so. Question mark maybes. I don't know why I said it like that. So yeah, so now a federal judge, it was Monday, ruled Monday that it had struck down the CDC and transit masking rules. So major U.S. airlines have had mask wearing optional for both passengers and employees now. Though customers are free to continue wearing masks if they choose to do so, passengers will not be required to mask up on many carriers for the first time. So let's watch this and get a little more info. Do I have that shared? I do have it shared. Okay, good.
We've got this news that's coming in just moments ago. The Department of Justice is weighing in tonight on the national travel mask mandate being overturned. It says that if the CDC concludes that requirement is still necessary on public transportation, it will appeal the Florida judge's ruling. Now, the news comes as the TSA is no longer enforcing the mandate, leaving it up to businesses and individuals. CBS's Errol Barnett is at Reagan National Airport with the latest.
There was jubilation in the skies as passengers found out masks were no longer required.
No one's any happier than we are.
One flight attendant celebrating in song. All major U.S. airlines made mask wearing optional once the TSA said it would no longer enforce the federal rule. Airport officials in Houston today carting away these mask requirement signs, the nation's busiest airports all making masks optional. The White House, hoping to keep the mandate in place through May 3rd, was caught off guard by Monday's announcement. CBS's Nancy Cordes today asking President Biden for his view.
People continue to wear masks on planes.
That's up to them.
But inconsistency remains in places where local mask mandates still exist, like Philadelphia and New York City. So for now, flyers into those cities will have to mask up once they land. There was also confusion at New York's Penn Station, where travelers on New Jersey Transit and Amtrak were not required to wear masks. But New York's subway and commuter rail passengers were still required to do so. And tonight, new rules of the road. Rideshare companies Lyft and Uber both making masks optional.
And I just want to feel free and breathe freely.
A relief for driver Gannett Abate.
Very happy. I hope this is over for all of us.
But there is still concern from parents traveling with children under 5 who are not vaccinated.
It is a possibility that we may not travel with him as much anymore.
Sarah Nelson, the president of one flight attendant union, says it will also be challenging for immunocompromised travelers.
There are people who are going to care for their loved ones who are in a very compromised position medically, and they want to make sure that they're not taking any additional risk to them.
Now, the CDC acknowledged today it is no longer enforcing its mask mandate. It's no longer in effect, but it does still recommend the use of masks while in indoor transportation settings like this one. And what's interesting, Nora, is most of the passengers moving through the terminal here are using their face coverings. So keep these coverings close.
All right, Errol Barnett, thank you.
We're going to begin with.
So, yeah, so, and this is kind of this is one of those situations where, people are kind of divided on this issue. Some people are still saying that everyone should wear masks, where, then there's a handful of people that are saying, well, not more than a handful, but I'd say it's evenly divided, that people do want to have masks and some that don't. So for people who want to know, these are some of the airlines that no longer require masking. For regional airlines, you should check your carrier's website before heading to the airport. So we're looking at Alaska Airlines, American Airlines, Delta Airlines, Frontier Airlines, JetBlue, Southwest, Spirit, and United. This doesn't mean you'll never have to wear a mask at the airport. Many of the airlines note that while their new policies apply on all domestic flights, masks may still be required to fly to some international destinations. And some airports like Philadelphia International will require masks inside their terminals before you fly. Ground travel, the rules are a little bit more complicated. Masks are no longer required on Amtrak trains or in their stations, and on some subways, as the report said there, New York still doing it. It's I'm not quite sure if New Jersey has lifted that or not for their public transportation, which is interesting because you have a lot of people who come in from Jersey to New York to work. And plus the government could also appeal the decision too, where, they could go back to it. Like I said, that like the report said, I think Biden wanted it to go through at least May 3rd. And, here we are, middle of April. We're close to the end of April. So, only a couple of weeks away, but still, this isn't a done deal. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to try to fight this,
Right. I still wear my mask everywhere. That's just because I have really awesome masks and I like to show them off. But of course it's safety too, because people are dirty. So.
Well, here in New York, I would see people from foreign countries were wearing masks well before the pandemic, like particularly from Shanghai. And the reason why people wear masks in Shanghai is because of the smog there is it's very reminiscent to LA back in the 70s before they started cleaning up the smog out there. It's just very thick, and people wear masks to try to block out all those carcinogens and whatnot from the smog there. So a lot of people who have come, they were already used to wearing masks. I wear a mask because it covers a lot of my face, and I don't scare children as much. At least But I
Yeah.
mean, that doesn't mean I don't like to scare children. That's still a pastime of mine. I hope to continue.
Yeah.
Um,
I wear masks to
but
scare children, spikes and blood and stuff all over it.
well, I mean, like here, I always carry even though most places in New York, most businesses have lifted it. You could go into like grocery stores and whatnot. There are still places that they're enforcing. Their companies, if it's either mom and pop or a company that owns the place, they're still enforcing it themselves. Two cases in point. There's a dollar store not too far away from me, and privately owned, and they still require masks to come in. Alamo Draft House, the movie theaters where you can sit down and eat. Just as recently as a few weeks ago, we not only did they require masks, they also required proof of vaccination still, which a lot of the businesses around New York has just dropped altogether because of that. Financially, a lot of them dropped it financially. They were losing business, and even with some of these now that still are doing it, you're not seeing as many people going to these places because people don't want to deal with the masks anymore. Or at least the people who want to go to those places, they don't want to deal with wearing a mask anymore. I don't wear a mask outside. I wear it on the subway, but I keep a mask on me in case I go to a business and I'll see a sign that says wear a mask. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be doing that for a while too, particularly like in the big cities that are still where a lot of the businesses are still requiring those things. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But also a little addendum to this, we have, so necessity is the mother of invention, they say. It also provides actual homegrown manufacturing. How about that? American manufacturing? What? I know, right? We heard of stuff like that before.
Not for like 80 years.
Right? Oh, come on. That was 80 years ago. That's just so recent.
Yeah.
So now during the pandemic, there were a lot of domestic factories that managed to open up fairly quickly in order to provide masks. And now that the mandates are being lifted, a lot of these manufacturers are going out of business because there's the demand for them is going lower and lower. Let's see. So there were dozens of small U.S. mask factories during the pandemic. Just a year ago, 26 of these upstart producers signed a letter to the administration urging a crackdown on an influx of low-priced Chinese masks that was undermining their new operations, all of which were open in response to the health crisis. Today, just 9 of those letter signers still produce masks. Says the government never really supported mask manufacturing in the U.S., said Lloyd Armbrust, chief executive of Armbrust America and a mask maker in Pflugerville, Texas. The lifting of the mandate will only hasten the decline of the new industry, he added. So, during the record surge of cases from the fast-spreading Omicron variant that started late last year and peaked in January, Ambrose said they did up to $500,000 in sales a day. So now we're like 5% of that. So you and I were talking before the show about how American manufacturing has been outsourced to foreign countries for cheaper prices, and how it is just basically manufacturing has disappeared in the United States.
Mhm.
The pandemic provided a need for these things, particularly these masks. But America has other needs as well, to where we need manufacturing here in the United States. It's not only so we'll have the things that we need and not rely on other foreign countries, but also it will provide jobs here at home that
Yep.
right now are being gone overseas, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, this whole pandemic just literally proved that if there was a need, that the people of America can come together and figure out a way to provide for that. So if our government, if there's any other need or want that our country has, then our government has an opportunity to be able to provide the jobs for those people, because there's a want and a need for those as well. People want to work, people want to create, people want to help, people want to provide. And that the pandemic completely showed that. So yeah, I agree. We completely outsourced ourselves, even though we proved to ourselves that we can supply and demand ourselves if need be. But our government doesn't, or private corporations just don't want to do that. And our government allows private corporations to run everything. So that's what they choose, and that's what we're stuck with. And I thought that was so great, like seeing everybody coming together to make masks. I mean, even people sitting at home sewing them, and sterilizing them in their own way to make sure everybody was safe. Like, it was just such a cool experience to have that. And now we're past it, and nobody even looks back on that and thinks about that part. That part was the biggest thing. We made our own jobs. That was great.
Right. I think we fell into this complacency where some of us are okay with stuff being made overseas because it drops the price, but in reality, it's a detriment to the United States. I mean, I think we should be treating it as a national emergency, where we don't have not only the jobs for people, but these products that we have to depend on overseas to get. I mean, look at the way things are going overseas right now as far as the political climate's concerned, right? You have a lot of instability in Eastern Europe. China itself could be thrown into the mix. So with these uncertainties, we need to hedge our bets and start bringing at least manufacturing the necessities, like Lana said, like medicines. We should be doing that stuff here. We shouldn't be relying on China for medicine at all.
Right.
Okay. So now it's the Jimi Sunderland special part of the show, where she gets to talk a whole bunch, and I can sit back and listen in awe of her awesomeness.
How's my internet? Is my internet okay? Because I feel like it's slow today.
It's okay. The rest of us are just faster, so don't worry about it. It's fine.
It's 4:20, so I can
very
be slow.
speedy. That's right. See, that's why you're slow. I think your internet's smoking too. So
That's right.
hopefully it's smoking pot and not smoking because it's gonna burn down your house. Anyway,
Yeah.
What you got next there, dear?
All right. Education department changes might bring 3.6 million people closer to student loan forgiveness. I feel like this might be a little bit of a virtue signaling, but at least for some people who are paying off their student loan debt, this is a little bit of a relief, I guess you would say. It seems like he is holding off paying off student loan debts until August as of now. I was watching a girl this morning on YouTube who was talking about it. She actually goes through her monthly payments on YouTube for everyone to see for her college debt, which was kind of cool. And she's saying that he's probably not going to do much. So millions of student loan borrowers will be closer to debt forgiveness after a number of changes the U.S. Department of Education plans to make to the lending system. The department made the announcement Tuesday, saying that it plans to address historical failures in the administration of the federal student loan programs. Those changes include reassessing the payment timelines for borrowers enrolled in income-driven repayment plans and public service loan forgiveness, and making sure they're on track for the eventual debt cancellation these programs lead to. Yeah, okay. As many as 3.6 million people could be closer to debt forgiveness after these changes. Around 40,000 borrowers may get immediate relief. Student loans were never meant to be a life sentence, but it certainly felt that way for borrowers locked out of debt relief they're eligible for, says U.S. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona. These actions once again demonstrate the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to delivering meaningful debt relief and ensuring federal student loan programs are administered fairly and effectively. Outstanding student loan debts exceed $1.7 trillion, burdening Americans more than credit or auto debt. Tens of millions of people in the U.S. are in debt for their education, and up to a quarter are in delinquency or default. And that's what's so scary right now, is a lot of people are going into delinquency and default right now because they're thinking that they're not, they're going to get their student loan canceled or their debt forgiveness or their debt paid off and forgave. So they're not paying it. And that's the scary hard part about that too. It's like, what do you do? I don't have any student loan debt. I feel for these people that are having to deal with this, because I know what it's like having to owe money, knowing that there's repercussions for not paying it. I know how that feels, and it's a really scary situation, and it sucks. You lose sleep on this kind of stuff, like you lay down at night and you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it and you can't go back to sleep. It's not a good situation that these kids are in. And I think they should just cancel it altogether. That $1.6 trillion, that's just more on top of the debt clock that we don't need. That's just scaring people. So, and it's not even offering these kids any opportunities to even pay it back in full before they turn 30. So,
well, yeah, you look at the situation now where wages have been stagnant for decades, but the cost of college has not. It's risen dramatically. You hear a lot of people who are the generation before Gen X. We know who they are. I'm not saying everybody in the boomer class, but a lot of boomers saying, well, why can't you pay your debt? We did. Like, well, you didn't have to pay that much back then. Colleges were practically free back back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And then it was easier to get like Pell Grants, that sort of thing. If you were in the military, you got the GI Bill that paid for college too. So there were a lot of avenues to help you pay for college when the price tag wasn't that great. What has happened is, used to, when you had student loans, you would pay directly to the U.S. government. But then they decided to outsource that to third parties in order to mediate and collect the debt. And that's when you started seeing these prices skyrocket. So you see a lot of people with student debt. They're just paying the interest. They're not even paying the actual, the actual nut. They're still paying the interest on it.
Right.
The principal, and that's the scam. That's the scam right there. It's like, if you're just paying the interest, you might as well be getting money from a loan shark. If you're just paying interest and you're never paying down that principal, some people are able to do it. It really depends. You hear the arguments like, well, don't go to art school if you know you're not going to make money afterwards. That's not the point. The point is education and healthcare should be free, right? If you really want a productive society, let's say you're a capitalist and you want the most productive society possible, in order to sustain capitalism, make healthcare and education free. Put up or shut up. All right. Otherwise, people are going to be in this medical debt, and they're damn sure going to be in this student loan debt. And Biden could easily just do an executive order, and with a stroke of a pen he could get rid of that 1.7 trillion, write it off the books.
Yep.
But once again, special interests, and
he could literally mint a $100 trillion coin, and our entire national debt would be gone. We'd actually have a surplus. It's crazy.
Right. There's a lot of things the government can do, but they just make up excuses like, oh, well, the parliamentarian says, who's this? Like, is that like a Harry Potter character? Who the hell is this person? Right. And because I'm not exactly young. So I've never heard of the parliamentarian until recently.
I heard that word and I thought it was something we stole from England.
Right? Like they wear like one of those gray wigs, those powdered wigs,
Yeah.
and it like kind of looks like the Quaker Oats dude.
Yeah. I was like,
that's
where did this person come from? And did we just steal this like position from England right now and gave him a job? Like, what's going on?
Right. Well, apparently during the Bush administration, the parliamentarian told Bush that he couldn't do I can't remember what it was he wanted to do, and Bush just said, "Well, you're fired," and then he got somebody in there that would actually do it. So, but it's not just there's the NAACP is also involved in this too. They're calling for student loan debt to be canceled as well.
Yeah, they're saying they're hopeful. They've been fighting it a long time and they're hopeful for it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like people of color are always the financial victims in this country, and student loan debt is no different either, because it's more so for people of color because there's not as many opportunities for them to make money to pay that money back too. That's a whole other subject right there, is opportunities. So yeah, the NAACP said they're increasingly optimistic that Biden will move to cancel student loan debt. They feel they're more hopeful than ever. I guess you have to be optimistic in this day and age, because if it's just all negativity, yeah, it might be realistic, but it sure is a bummer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the NAACP is a pretty powerful organization. If they can actually, as long as they're more than just hopeful, you know what I mean? I think they could throw their weight around.
And the NAACP has been pushing for student debt cancellation from day one in the streets and in the halls of power, including countless meetings with the White House and Secretary of Education, and will continue to lead this fight until it is canceled. That was a statement from, I don't know, somebody in NAACP.
Yeah, I think it was.
So they're going to continue to fight, which is great.
And that's what we need. We need to join forces like the NAACP and the organizations whose their main goal is to get rid of student debt. It's like free speech we were talking about earlier with Julian Assange. We need to rally the troops, and we need to be out there protesting and fighting for these things. But at the same time, we also need to educate people about that too. You hear a lot of people say, well, I paid my student loan debt, I don't know why anyone else can't. That may have been those are very specific situations where maybe you didn't have that much student loan debt, and you were able to parlay your college education into a great paying job that allowed you to wipe it off the books fairly quickly, within a matter of a few years. There's people my age that are still paying back student loan debts. And now as they get older, if they go into default with these loans, they could run the risk of having their Social Security garnished. You see people getting their paychecks garnished over this kind of thing, and people not making that much money, and the government taking a sizable amount out of their paychecks to pay this back. It's just disgusting to me. You know, like we said, it should be a right. Just like, and I remember who was it that said that. It was Holly. Yeah, hey Holly. Education, healthcare, and housing are human rights. If we're still considered humans, yes, we should have those things, and then the rest falls into place, I believe. So,
Yep.
Whew. How you doing? You okay?
Oh yeah.
You're right.
You're right. Yeah.
You need a. Do you need a 420 break? Are you okay? What about those vines? They giving you any trouble?
Not
Let
yet.
me know, right?
I will let you
Okay.
know for sure.
Yeah, I got some of that weed spray. I'll go back. I'll spray those curtains. I don't care. I'll do it. So we our last story.
Yeah. Bring it up.
I want to talk. Let's see. Yeah, let me get rid of these two here. This kind of ending kind of on a somewhat of a high note, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah. So people were calling for defunding the LAPD. Now they're looking to defund city council members. So not long after the death of George Floyd in 2020, labor organizer Hugo Soto Martinez protested at Echo Park Lake, where he and hundreds of others demanded cuts to the Los Angeles Police Department. He says, "We're not going to stop until we defund the police, get rid of District Attorney Jackie Lacey, and transform this society." Weeks later, college administrator Dulce Vasquez posted her response to the city council's decision to cut hundreds of LAPD officers. She said, "Protest works," or she wrote, with the hashtag defund the police. Community activist Eunice Hernandez was issuing her own calls for change, saying funding should be moved out of law enforcement and into housing, childcare, and other social services. Pretty much what who just wrote that down? Was it Kay or Dolores? So when we say abolish the police, she wrote last year, we mean replace it with this. Now, all three of these people are running for the Los Angeles City Council in the June 7th elections, which is our primaries. But if you are a mail-in ballot voter, you can start voting in May. Looking to unseat a trio of incumbents who have served on the body for nearly a decade. Three challengers are mounting a credible campaign, hoping to replicate the 2020 success of Nithya Raman, who became the first council candidate to unseat an incumbent in 17 years. 2 years after the city erupted in protest over police killings, those candidates and several others will test the public's appetite for reining in law enforcement spending. So the three names are Hugo Soto Martinez, Gil Cedillo, and Dulce Vasquez. Those are the three people that are running for city council out there. The three incumbents backed a $150 million reduction to Mayor Eric Garcetti's police budget in 2020, only to favor an increase 1 year later. And they have resisted demands from activists for a people's budget that would eviscerate law enforcement spending. The people in the city do not want to abolish the police. They do not want to defund the police, Cedillo said in an interview. The increase in crime, it's very visible. People see it. See, now that's what makes me mad. Like, you're gonna up the price of living. You're gonna make it almost impossible for anybody to be able to do anything except for live on the streets. I've lived in California my entire fucking life. Like, I could tell you full on, like, if you don't have family members to fall back on, you're on the streets by yourself. That's it. Nobody's going to be there to help you. And then when you're out on the streets and you're out there trying to make money, like, you can only do so much until you need to start stealing to survive, you know, like going to a grocery store and stealing burritos just to go and use them at the microwave at the 7-Eleven down the street. Like, that's life. Like, of course, crime is going to be up if the people can't fucking survive, if they can't even live out there. That's the biggest problem. Like, we don't need more police to start beating down the people that are already suffering enough. We need to help and give people funding and help that they need out here. It's only getting worse. Like it's not a punishment circle of nothingness. Like you can't just, somebody does something and you punish, bad, and then it just keeps getting worse because you keep adding more and more and more and more punishments. Like, when's it gonna start hitting abuse? Like, when is that line going to be crossed? It's just bull crap. And they already have enough money as it is. And just to make some, or here, hold on, let me finish reading this really quick. The LAPD now has 9,371 officers, down from 10,000. Fatal shootings by police have spiked, marking demands for a more humane response to people facing addiction and mental health challenges. Nowhere is the array of views on public safety as vital as in O'Farrell's district, which takes in areas as Silver Lake and Atwater Village. There's a lot here. He gets really brutal in one of the candidates gets really brutal about talking, like he wants to bringing the marshmallows, and I hope one day make s'mores while the LAPD headquarters in downtown burns to the ground. He asks who's bringing the marshmallows. On Twitter, Corrado has called police cadets future murderers and suggested that once that LAPD officers eat their own guns, he argued in favor of eliminating the entire $3 billion police budget. $3 billion, with the proceeds going to social workers, mental health, and anti-poverty programs, which it should. If you do all that, crimes is going to drop so drastically that the rest of it is just going to be up to us to figure out how to keep each other safe. Like, I completely and utterly agree with that. I probably won't read the rest of it because that's a lot, and there's not much time left. But if we go into the brand and bring up that screenshot. So there's a guy running. I know a lot of people know who he is because he was really popular back in 2016. He was running for a Green Party for Congress, and he didn't win, but now he's running for the city controller of LA County. And this isn't an actual billboard, but he has made a billboard either similar to this or something close to this. So during COVID-19, when we got our relief funds, LA decided to give half of those half of that money to the police department. So not only are they overbloated with over $1 billion in a police budget, but just last year alone, when everybody was sitting at home and not doing anything and not, crimes were down because nobody was out, they made an extra $317.4 million in the COVID relief budget in the state, or I guess in just the area of Los Angeles, which is absolutely bullcrap. I'm pretty dang sure that California is not the only one that's dealing with the defund the police problem and overbloated and all of those things. It's just, this is what we found, and it was actually pretty neat. And once again, hold on, those three people, their names are Hugo Soto Martinez, Gil Cedillo, and Dulce Vasquez. They are running for 3 areas of city council. Do we remember where?
Not sure. I think you said one was Silver Lake. What's the other one? Let's see. A couple of weeks ago we were talking about this, how the police were killing 3 people a day on average,
Mm-hmm.
and that's across the country. That was that average. And then you had this subway shooting last week here in New York, how it wasn't prevented. And New York has a $10.6 billion police budget.
Mm-hmm.
Cameras weren't working, radios weren't working. It's one of those things where it's not just about funding either. It's about changing the culture of the police and what their duties should be, right? You like we were talking about. You have like they said, the funding for that should go to social. A lot of that should go to social services, to be where a police with a gun are not needed. You know, you just need social services out there to deal with the situation. And you have a lot of police unions who are pushing back on this because then they're losing funding. I mean, that's bottom line is they don't want to lose the funding. But they also don't want to come up with alternatives to policing where social services can be brought in instead. Hey, kitty. You get that sneaky cat back there. So this kind of reminds me of Kashama Sawant in Seattle, how she protested, she's activist, and she won her seat, and she still continues to protest. So hopefully we'll see more examples of people like her and these folks in LA as well. So that's good news.
Absolutely.
Good news to end on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hope they win. Remember, California, June 7th is our primaries. Go vote.
Right. I always do this to you every week. I want to see if you're prepared this week. So, Jimmy, what do you got going on? What's coming up for you?
I never know what's going on. Crap.
I know you're very busy though. You are a busy person though. You're kind of busy behind the scenes a lot too.
Yes.
Doing great graphics and editing and stuff like that. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Okay, so today it looks like Cup of Joe will be on In Depth with Joe Firestone. I'm hoping I'm probably gonna get a hold of them this week, Misty and Glory, see if they want to still do the Free the Truth show with us. I think we're changing it to Saturdays if they still want to do it. I know they're super busy, so I don't want to overbug them, but keep an eye out for that. See if they're still going to be here on Saturday. Tomorrow news is going to be with Joe Firestone. He's also doing Dump the Incumbents this week. I believe that'll be Saturday. I think that's all I got. What do you got?
But yeah, plus your behind the scenes stuff, your Batman stuff that you don't want anybody to know about, but you still do. Right. We appreciate you for that. So yeah, I'm a little busy bee. So yesterday I was on Misty's show. Today, I believe my brother Reef in the Independent News Network, he may be doing a 420 special. I think he is. I think it begins at 5 p.m. Eastern. You're like, well, why doesn't it start at 420? So my boy's gonna be on that shit at 420. He ain't got time for none of that. But well, he is all the time. I mean, Reefer After Dark. Come on.
I know.
So there's gonna be like a whole bunch of people popping in and out for his shindig. I'm gonna try and get my buddy to come on. He's a little camera shy. He likes to fly under the radar, but we'll see if we can get him on there. Not one, but 2 extra bullets this week. Dun dun dun. Tomorrow night. I know, right? Got Marcus Cage and Cy Lawson, the Political Matrix team. They're teaming up with Steve Poikonen from Slow News Day and Anarchy in the Morning, which is a great show. Check him out on Rockfin. I believe that is 7 to 10 Pacific time, so it's like 10 to 1 Eastern. So they're going to be on tomorrow night for our Down the Rabbit Hole show. We're going to be talking about some really juicy historical stuff and like all the craziness that behind it. I told the boys to bring their favorites. That may be a tall order because I don't know how easy it is to pick one favorite, but we're going to go down the rabbit hole, and I'm going to sit back and just eat popcorn the whole time and enjoy it. And And then on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, Daniel Lupker from Hardlands Media, I'm going to be talking to him, a rare extra bulla in the afternoon. I'll have to put on something like 400 sunscreen because, vampires burn in the daylight. I managed to keep from burning up with the shades here, so I'll have to apply the same techniques. But I'm looking forward. I interviewed Kit. I talked to Kit back in January, and I've been wanting to talk to Daniel. He's he's the CEO of 99 Perspectives in Chicago. They got a great media company there, and I want to talk to him about all that. And yeah, I think that's all I got going on for this week. Isn't that enough, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely. One day I'll be cool enough to have that many shows. One day.
Oh, stop it. P. Shaw. You're a workaholic as it is.
I know. I just wish my shows were during the evening time, so that way I don't have to get up so early.
I know, right? Well, you could do it. Yeah, we can work on that. We can work on an evening show for you. Jimmy Sunderland After Dark.
Right. Call it Jimmy's Jams or Jim Jams.
Jimmy Jams. Jimmy Jams. Yeah, can you play an instrument? Are you a rocker? Can you do that?
No, I wish.
No.
I can pretend.
I know how to play Guitar Hero
Yeah.
on console. It's just buttons, right? You don't really have to strum nothing, I don't think.
Right.
Or maybe you do. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, you got to strum a little flip switch back and forth, like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So, Brandy says Red Berets on the 1 hour show today on Facebook.
All right.
And Dump the Incumbents recently changed to Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
I know. We've got to update our calendar on here.
Well, also the show tomorrow night is 9 o'clock too Eastern. So, like, share, and subscribe one, watch the other, pick your poison. If you don't watch mine, you want to watch Dump the Incumbents, that's cool too. We're all in the same family. It all works. Dolores, Brandy, Sandy, Holly, Yona, Jim. I know he was in the mix. Who else did we get? Who else was here today? Kay. Did we say Brandy? Yeah, I think we said Brandy. Brandy, I hope you like the Gilbert Gottfried. That was just for you, dear. So, my vocal cords are a little sad, but they'll get over it. So I think that's everybody.
Yep.
Cool. Enjoy your 420. Have fun.
Thank you. You too.
I will try my best. In fact, I'm going to go meet him probably in about 30 minutes. Should be a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
That's right.
Have a good one, y'all. Peace out. Yay.